Hello guys, and welcome to the first part of my garden renovation, which is mainly a lot of prep work and then laying my artificial grass so it looks like this. Before deciding I was actually going to make this video, I'd already cleared all the rubbish out of the garden and then levelled the soil so it matched up to the concrete. All that was left was to lay the weed membrane, as you can see me doing here. This is to prevent anything growing through the artificial grass once it was laid. As you can see, the wall was in a state. I watched a few videos on how to point and then went for it. I wasn't too worried about being overly neat as I knew I'd be painting over this, but it turned out pretty decent anyway. All that was left until I could lay the grass was painting, and there was a lot of it, which was the fence and then all the walls. I made sure to do this before I laid the grass, as I did not want to risk spilling anything. It was finally time. The grass had arrived, although I was not expecting it to weigh 150 kilograms, which meant doing this as one person was quite the challenge. In order to do this, I just kept pulling and unrolling. I knew once it was unravelled, I'd be able to get it to the other end of the garden and then just fold it in half. As soon as I got to this stage, I knew I was getting there. I finally could pull it all the way to the other end of the garden. Then all I needed to do was fold it in half and make it neat. I was so happy as soon as I hit this point. I placed a scrap piece of wood under the grass to protect it as I cut through it, and then unfolded this piece of grass and placed it back in position. Cut through the remaining part I had left over, which I'll save for something else. Then all that was left to do was to go around all the edges and cut off all the excess. As I did this, I had a wallpaper scraper which I used to tuck down the edges and make it look nice and neat. I then left the grass to settle for about a week before returning, and then rolled it back on itself. I used this grass adhesive to then tack the grass down to the concrete. I put small blobs which were roughly 30 centimetres apart. This was so the grass would stay stuck down but not to affect the inbuilt drainage system. I rolled the grass back into place and then repeated the same process on the other side. I then applied a bead of adhesive around all of the edges, apart from the parts that had soil underneath. For this, I hammered in all the pins to keep the grass in place, which are also very nicely hidden. Final stage is adding sand. I sprinkled this out as evenly as I could in the first half of the garden, and then used the broom to work it into the grass. This gives the grass more depth and helps the grass blades to stand up. Then after this, I repeated the process on the other half of the garden. With my garden being quite small, this probably only took me about an hour. And there we are. My garden is finally starting to look like a garden, a good base to build upon.